My name is Ethan, and I'm 35 years old. As someone who loves cars, I was ecstatic to finally acquire the luxury car of my dreams. For me, who got married young, it was a dream come true, albeit a bit late, and just looking at my car every day made me incredibly happy. One afternoon, I was relaxing at home with my wife. Thud, thud, thud. We were startled by loud noises that could be heard even inside the house, and my wife asked me to go check what was happening. "What are you doing? Get off the car now." At first, I was dumbfounded, but then I found myself yelling loudly. To my astonishment, the neighbor's child was jumping vigorously on top of my luxury car. But Dad said, "Dad, forget about that, get down now. How can you do something like this? It's so thoughtless." I continued to yell loudly, not caring that the child looked scared. Then, wash. Apparently frightened by my yelling, the child started crying loudly. "Hey, don't cry. You're the one who did something wrong, right?" But, Dad said. Despite feeling puzzled by the child's mention of his dad, I helped him down from the car. At that moment, I was just enjoying washing my car. "Why is Leo crying? Leo, did this man do something to you?" This side of the father made me want to complain, but his unexpected reaction left me speechless. This man was yelling, but I was just having fun like my dad told me to. Men don't cry like that. Dad's here to protect you, right? Yes. Both the father and the child acted as if I was a villain, making me doubt if I was actually in the wrong. Do you enjoy scaring and making a child cry like this? You're old enough to know better. Leo is such a pure and adorable kid, and you've hurt him this much. I won't let you off easy. Wait a minute. Your son was jumping on my car. Of course I'd get angry. And you were washing your own car. How did you not notice? You should be apologizing for not watching your child before blaming me. Huh? What are you talking about? There's no way Leo would do such a thing. Look at this. This is a luxury car. There are footprints on it, and the top is dented. Isn't this conclusive evidence? I saw your son jumping on it with my own eyes, and you still claim he wouldn't do such a thing. Really? It is dented. Leo, I told you not to mess with my car, but messing with someone else's car. That's my boy. Huh? Yeah, I told Leo to go play elsewhere because I can't stand kids touching cars. It's my hobby too. So I understand how you feel. It's tough seeing your beloved car treated this way. The neighbor laughed as if it was someone else's problem. What are you saying? You're his parent, aren't you? Instead of laughing, you should be scolding him. What do you mean you understand? Apologize first. Well, even if you say that, our policy is to let our children grow freely. It bothers me when someone criticizes that policy. Policy? What does that have to do with this situation? No matter your household's policy, apologizing for causing trouble or hurting others is basic decency. Both the parent and the child are at fault here. Don't be mad at Dad. It's my fault, so don't get angry at him. Making a child say such things, you are failing as an adult. Degrading a parent in front of their child, and vice versa, that's the real indecency here. If this causes a child trauma, how will you take responsibility? Trauma. How is this situation traumatic? If anything, I'm the one traumatized by my luxury car getting damaged. Being constantly scolded by an adult next door, the child might grow up thinking all adults are like that. If he struggles with communication in the future, will you take responsibility? Your vague accusations don't make sense. If you can't take responsibility, then maybe you should stay quiet. Your car is just an object, right? It's bound to break eventually. Just happen sooner. But my son has a future. I get what you're saying, but I won't say anything more. However, expect to be billed for the car repairs. Be prepared for that. Huh? Why should I pay for the repairs to your car when it has nothing to do with me? I don't care what happens to your car, and it doesn't need to be repaired as far as I'm concerned. Wanting it repaired is your issue, right? Normally, you'd pay for it yourself. This is something your child did, not me. If I had damaged the car, that would be another story, but your child did this as a prank. Of course, you should pay for the repairs. I'm bending over backwards here, not even getting an apology. It was your child who did this, after all. I guess that's forgivable, as long as it doesn't happen again. But to say I should pay for the repairs myself, That's absurd. I was furious with the unreasonable response, not caring anymore even if the child was scared. So, yelling like that is going to scare Leo. Don't you get it? Seriously, stop it. Do you enjoy scaring him that much? Alright, I get it. I'll apologize properly. I'm sorry for jumping on your car. I promise I won't do anything like this again. Please forgive me. Leo, that's great of you to apologize like that. I'm impressed. Really. Thanks. Truly commendable. See, isn't that enough? Leo has apologized so sincerely. Aren't you satisfied now? Satisfied? What, you still got something to say? I don't want to scare Leo anymore, so I'm going home. Oh, and next time you want to say something to Leo, go through me. If you dare scold Leo without my permission, I'll sue you. But, the repair costs. I'm telling you, it's a child's mistake. Forgive it. You know I'm with the Azure Dragons Syndicate, a mafia, right? If you want to keep this up, I won't hold back either. I had forgotten in my anger that my neighbor was claiming to be a mafia. Won't hold back. Call all the executives of the Azure Dragons Syndicate. What? Both my neighbor and I were startled by the voice that came from behind. Orya, did you hear all that? I was terrified of letting my wife know I was thinking of giving up. Did I hear? Of course, I did. How can you not demand repair costs just because he's a mafia? Do you have any idea how hard we both worked to buy this car? I felt bad for marrying you without any money, but we saved little by little and managed to buy this car. And now you're saying you're okay with staying quiet about it. At that moment, my wife's anger scared me more than the neighbor who claimed to be a mafia. I'm sorry. It was tough for me too, and I was incredibly frustrated. Nothing I said seemed to matter, and then the child started crying. I wondered if I had no choice but to accept it when they said it might traumatize him. Such a coward for a man. What are you then? Not taking care of your child, and on top of that, not apologizing for the trouble your child caused. You're a failure as a parent. What's this about the child's trauma? If such a thing could traumatize a child, then you're the problem for raising such a child. What are you saying? Are you saying if my child gets yelled at and can't do anything on his own, it's my fault? We've decided in my house not to scold but to watch over him even if he does something wrong. Don't meddle in my family's matters. Oh, and your child must be so perfect, huh? Well, yes, we teach our child not to bother others. And what will happen if I meddle with you? Try me. I got the impression you wanted to introduce yourself as a lowlife who can only solve things with violence. Huh? I won't forgive you. Even if you beg me, I won't forgive you. Think a mafia could say that to Henry's granddaughter. Even if you went crying to the boss or the executives, thinking they'd do something to us, they wouldn't lift a finger, you know. Oh, did you think you could do something to us by yourself? If that's the case, I'll complain directly to your executives. How can you be so sure? You're underestimating me, but I'm a respectable member of the Azure Dragons Syndicate. Just because you're a civilian, the executives won't listen to you. Are you confusing mafia with some local government? Oh, so you've never heard of Henry? You keep bragging, but you're just a low-level member, aren't you? What? Henry? Never heard of such a person. If you're going to lie, at least make it a good one. Even I can't talk to the executives without going through someone higher, let alone someone like you. I'm not lying. If you don't believe me, call the group right now and say Henry's granddaughter is calling. The executives will rush here. Well, that would be the end of your life. Arya, are you sure it's okay to say that about your grandfather? It's fine. Mafia don't forget their debts of gratitude. My wife said confidently, but I was worried. What's that? Who are you, and what's this debt of gratitude? Exactly what it sounds like. My grandfather raised those executives. That's why they can't stand up to him, their benefactor. And you're picking a fight with his granddaughter. Wait a sec. If that's the case, things are different. I'll compensate for the car, so let's pretend this conversation never happened. Look, it wasn't the child's intention. Trying to gain sympathy by pushing your child forward when your own position is in danger. Enough with the mockery. It's understandable that the child made a mistake. I'm a parent too and can somewhat understand. But for you, the parent, to say that without even apologizing, thinking it could all just go away, is audacious. I apologize. I'm truly sorry. Please, can't you overlook this? I don't need such a perfunctory apology. Just call the executives. We'll talk after that. I can't just call the executives. There's no way they'd come all this way for someone like me. Please, I'm begging you. Is that so? If you won't call, I can make the call for you. But don't get it twisted. They wouldn't be coming for you, but for me. Still, you might want to call them yourself before I do. If they hear from me, they'll definitely be upset. The neighbor was clearly troubled, but eventually began to make the call, seemingly realizing he had no other choice. Is this the boss? It's Justin. My kid messed with the car of someone who turns out to be related to Henry, someone important to our executives. I'm in over my head here, and they're asking for the executives to come. What do you mean, Henry? You've got some nerve messing with such a person. Can't you handle this yourself? How angry must they be? I'm sorry. I've apologized, but it seems my apology isn't enough. Please, could you ask the executives to come here? Damn it. Causing trouble at a time like this. All right, I'll send the executives over. Just make sure you apologize properly. Yes, I'm very sorry. Even over the phone, the scolding my neighbor received was so intense I could almost feel the fear myself. The executives will be coming. What exactly do you plan to do by calling them here? Can't we settle this peacefully? If this keeps up, I might be kicked out of the group. If I'm out, I can't make a living. Please, for my child's sake, forgive me. Dad, are you okay? You too, apologize properly. It's because of your actions we're in this mess. My neighbor was forcing his son to apologize. Send your child home. It's not right for him to see his parent in such a disgraceful state. It's true your son is at fault for the car, but I'm angry at your behavior, not his. He has nothing to do with the reason for my anger. Go on, go inside. My wife spoke gently, and the son, glancing at his father's face, went inside. It seemed my neighbor had intended to use his son as a shield from the beginning. Left alone, he sat down with a look of utter despair on his face. Then, about 10 minutes later, a black car arrived, and 3 intimidating-looking men got out. The neighbor couldn't even look up to see the faces of the executives. I'm sorry. We are deeply sorry for the actions of our member. We never expected him to show such disrespect to Henry's granddaughter. We don't even know how to properly apologize. We are truly sorry. Without looking at the neighbor, the executives apologized sincerely to my wife and me. You, a low-ranking member, have caused such trouble. Do you understand the gravity of disgracing us like this? I'm sorry. What he did cannot be compensated for with anything. We will take full responsibility for his actions and take care of him. Could we possibly settle this matter here? What do you mean by take care of him? Are you suggesting what I think you are? I asked nervously, afraid of the answer. It's exactly as you imagine. We will make sure he disappears and never shows his face in front of Henry's granddaughter again. We owe Henry a debt we can never repay in a lifetime. If it appeases your anger, we are willing to do anything. Wait a minute. I can compensate for the car and spend my life apologizing. If compensation isn't enough, I can pay damages in the form of a settlement. Can't you spare my life for that? There's no need for you to do that. Just the sight of you would infuriate Henry. The only option for you is to disappear. It's the most peaceful solution, don't you think? That's right. If you were aware of the world you're in, you'd know that you must clean up your own mess. Since it's entirely your fault, you should pay the price with your own body. We've seen plenty of people like you. That's just how things work in this world. How can you say that? I have a family, children. If I'm gone, my wife and kids will be devastated. How can you do such a vile thing? Please, say that my life being thrown away won't solve anything. That way, the executives might change their minds. The neighbor pleaded with my wife and me, begging for mercy. Don't worry. We will ensure your family lives a comfortable life without any hardships. You're the one who angered Henry's granddaughter, and it would be pitiful if your family had to live in poverty because of it. Would you allow us to support his family? That way, we can take care of him without making you have any reservations, right? That's not for me to decide. Arya, surely allowing someone to be killed isn't right. You wouldn't be happy with that, would you? We are only upset about our car being damaged. He didn't physically harm us, so let's just ensure he pays for the repairs and call it even. My wife looked perplexed, but as I spoke to her, she seemed to come back to her senses. Could we not rush into things, the executives and you? I never said I didn't want to see his face again. Sure, it would be better if I didn't have to, but it would be as if I'm the one killing him if it comes to that because of my words. I'm not part of the underworld. I don't want to do that. I'm sorry if we upset you. Thank you so much. To think you would save me after what I've said. I really appreciate it. The neighbor looked at me and thanked me, seeming relieved. Don't thank me. I didn't do this to help you. I just didn't want to see someone I know disappear. What if we make him move out by tomorrow? That way, you won't have to see each other, and it might be less of a burden. Having him live next door after all this might be uncomfortable for you. I have to move out. I still have a mortgage, and with a wife and kids, moving out by tomorrow. Could you give me some time? I will definitely move. Just need a bit of a grace period. What, you think dying would be better? We don't mind that at all. It's only because of their sake that we're not doing it right away. We have no qualms about taking care of you later. Then, moving out as soon as possible would be better. Right. Be grateful to them for sparing your life. Just moving out is a small price to pay. Explain everything to your family and get them to understand. Yes. Does this work for you? He's agreed to it. Can we calm your anger with this resolution? That sounds like a plan. Having someone who threatens us with mafia connections living next door is unsettling. But just moving out isn't the end, right? We were threatened by someone claiming to be with the mafia. Surely just moving out isn't the end of it, right? What exactly would you like us to do? We'll do anything within our power. Just tell us what you need. Remove him from the mafia group. Ensure he can never threaten anyone under the guise of being a mafia again. It's fortunate I was the one involved this time. Had it been someone else, they might have had no choice but to suffer in silence. If such a situation could arise again, shouldn't I do something about it now? Right, Ethan? I agree with that. Anyone who misuses their position for wrongdoing is likely to repeat such actions. Being expelled from the group would leave my family and me destitute. That would make it impossible to pay for the car repairs. That would be a problem for you too, wouldn't it? Please reconsider expelling me from the group. You could always turn to loan sharks. Borrow the money yourself, find a job, and sort it out. Although, I suspect your family might disown you, but that's a consequence of your actions. Reflect on that. We understand your wishes and will do our utmost. He will be expelled, and the repair costs will be covered. Furthermore, we will provide a new car to make up for the one damaged under our watch. Once a car is damaged, its value decreases. Since it's partly our responsibility, please feel free to choose any car you desire, regardless of the price. Are you sure about this? Just so you know, the car I want is more than double the price of this one. We believe you've been through enough fear as it is, so this is a gesture from us. Ethan, does this settle everything for you? There's nothing to settle on my part. I'm more than grateful for this offer. And so, the next day, only the father of our neighbor was made to move out. He was expelled from the mafia group, incurred debts, and even his wife, having found out about the foolish things he taught their child, abandoned him as she had foretold. Left with debts and presumably living a lonely life, the former neighbor's whereabouts became unknown. Arya, thank you for this. Thanks to you, I've gotten the car I truly wanted, and honestly, it feels like a dream. That's an exaggeration, but I couldn't stand to see the right person suffer. Maybe it's because I've seen how you've worked. Arya, I know it's odd for me to say this, but, how about we go visit your grandfather? It's been quite a while since we last saw him, right? Given everything that's happened, it's almost as if your grandfather was protecting us. Even if we can have a conversation, we should at least go and say thank you. Arya had always adored her grandfather since she was a child. However, 5 years ago, when her beloved grandfather became bedridden, Arya stopped talking about him altogether. Initially, I wasn't sure how to approach the subject with her. I thought it wasn't right to force her to visit him, but after this incident, I felt it's better to see him when we have the chance. But even if I talk to him, Grandpa, I understand. But I think we might regret it if we didn't go. I'll be right there with you, so let's go see him together." Though hesitant, Arya pondered for a moment and then nodded. Thus, we decided to visit her grandfather on our next day off. "Grandpa, it's been a long time. There was a moment recently when we felt truly saved, thanks to you. I used to think you were a scary person when I first met you, but now I'm truly grateful." I spoke to her grandfather with a smile, trying to keep Aryan from getting too sad. "Grandpa, I'm sorry I haven't come to see you. I really wanted to, so badly, but I was afraid. The more I thought it could be our last visit, the harder it became to actually go. But from now on, I'll come to see you. Thank you for living so long, Grandpa." Arya spoke through tears as she held her grandfather's hand, and miraculously, he seemed to squeeze her hand back. She continued to cry tears of joy,